We are live, and we are talking today about half PPR running backs, where we're going to put them in tiers: better, best, worst, who cares, who knows. They're running backs after all. But let's get into it and start the show. This is the fantasy universe, the FFU, the double FU, the FU times two. It's me because I started the show, but that's Aaron, that's Jesse. I'm in the center square. I'm Jeremy, and today we're talking about half PPR running back tiers. Aaron, how are you doing?
Sorry, I got routine set in and I was retweeting the show out on Twitter. And right when I heard the theme song end, I instinctively went into routine and started to introduce everyone. But that's the lovely part about these intros. You did good there, but I've had a couple where I've done the cold intro and I've been like halfway through, I've been like, fuck, that intro sucked. I'm going to, and shit, we're live. Go to restart it, realize you're live. Good job. You did good. So right back at it. Go ahead. It's all yours.
And Jesse. What's going on, man?
Whoa, yeah, baby. I'm pumped to talk about these running backs. That's right, Trey. You know what's up.
Trey, you lying son of a bitch.
My face is not a lot lately. Yeah, we're talking about running backs and how just like ridiculous these running backs are after like running back 7. So it's going to be glorious. I'll tell you what, when we were doing rankings, I was looking at the running back position. I'm like, man, when we get to this point of the draft, and I'm like, you know what, RB10 to RB30, it feels like the same thing. It's pretty well.
You know what the funny part has been? Okay, so all week I've been doing my 5-part ADP versus ECR series. Today I was writing the last 2. So it's been, I compared ECR to ADP on ESPN, MFL, NFL.com, Yahoo, and Sleeper. Some of these are really weird. Like I've noticed like Chuba Hubbard, Ramondre Stevenson. There's guys where I'm like, I'm expecting to see them because I've got them written down on my sheet. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, he's got to be right around RB 100. That's where he's been on the first 3. And then on this one, he'll be like 100th overall. And then on this one, he'll be 40th overall. And then the next one, he'll be 190th overall. Some of these early ADPs at running back, like they've got some crazy ones. Like I had one of the sites had Roshan at like 104. The other one had him outside the top 300. So it's crazy right
104 now. Is wild. That's absolutely wild.
Well, the good thing is that they're just running backs, so they don't really matter for fantasy. So just get a couple of guys that you think
like that.
But like Ramondre's one. Ramondre I've seen as high as 52 overall. I've also had one where I only do top 200 because that's what most normal redraft leagues are doing. I've had him at 52 overall. I've had him outside top 250, and I'm going, what the fuck? Like some of these sites, the ADP is all over. The one I was on right now is ESPN. And apparently on ESPN, nobody told people not to waste early picks on DSTs. Because all the DSTs are like, the Browns are the first one off the board. It's supposed to be at 187. They're going 82nd overall. The Cowboys 165. Like, who's drafting on ESPN? Who's drafting DSTs this time?
I'm telling you, the home league, the thirst for kickers and defenses at the end of the you get to round 8. Like, I'm fucking taking the Niners, and I'm like, that's the dumbest decision you should ever make. Don't do that. And like, no, it's great. And then they take Justin's kicker, and I'm like, dude, Tucker hasn't even been the kicker one in like 4 years. What are we doing here? I'm like,
it's funny. I've learned you can tell what kind of players are on each site because Sleeper, I find it's kind of moderate and spread out. Yahoo and ESPN, the kickers and the DSTs are really going early because it's a lot of the home leagues. MFL, you can tell it's a lot of people doing funky deep leagues or like dynasty. Well, because I don't include the dynasty leagues for this. It's just redraft. But the fucking rookies on MFL are going way higher. Like you'll have 20 rookies in the top 200 everywhere, and you'll have 70 on fucking MFL. It's nuts. You could tell them MFL people are used to playing fucking Dynasty. So I guess we should get into this one. We're going to do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the one thing that you got to keep in mind is you have to know what platform you're playing on. You got to know what the rankings are based on, and you got to find out to take advantage. So check out Aaron's article up on Fantasy Football Universe just right now, and you're publishing those all week. So, get your edge depending on where you're playing.
Yeah, I think Sleeper and Yahoo are out. They dropped for the next 3 days at 5 o'clock. Today, I think, is MFL itself. So today we're going to do another tier list here. We're doing redraft, half PPR, running backs. 1 sec. Let me flip this over. I'm going to do a little housekeeping here. For afterwards, it's much easier if I write these down as we go. So that way I can timestamp these motherfuckers. So let's start this off. We have Aaron Jones first up. It's so weird. I just want to say Aaron Jones of the Jones of the Vikings. What? So where do we got him? We're gonna start off tough here because a couple of these are like, what?
That's a timeshare back, and I'm not sold on Aaron Jones this year. I'm lower on him. He's like, I just moved him down significantly in my rankings. Where is he at? He is my RB. He's right with DeAndre Swift, and that should tell you how I feel about Aaron Jones because I can't stand DeAndre Swift. Aaron Jones is my RB26 right now, and I just don't. I really at the point I just don't want to draft him. That's where I'm at with Aaron Jones. So he's in like the average tier for me because he's never been a guy who's gotten like a high end amount of workload. He's always been a guy who split work, and if he doesn't have touchdowns or like the high value touches, which he might not with Ty Chandler there. I do worry about Aaron Jones with offense, so I'm like significantly off. I put him in average, but it's really up to you guys where you want to put him.
Yeah, I'm higher end of average too.
I'm good with average.
RB22. I need to move him down. I have him too high. I think I have him above Brian Robinson. I have him above James Conner. No, thank you. So I'm going to move him down, I think, about 4 or 5 spots. So I'll be right around where you are. Yeah, he's average. And if I can avoid him, I'll take the much cheaper Ty Chandler later.
Yeah, I've got him in average too. Like, I don't mind the aging running backs, especially in Dynasty. Like Kamara and Ekeler. Ekeler's one I found in my ADP study. There's a couple where Ekeler's going outside the top 150. Like, I'm taking that all day. I get it. He's older and he looked like shit last year, but for Aaron Jones, for me, he's never healthy, so I'm good with him at average there. Next up, we've got Alvin Kamara. Thoughts, gentlemen? Same tier, just slightly above. Maybe the end of good for me, I think.
I think it comes down how you feel about Kendrick Miller. Like, I think that's the biggest question mark with him.
I don't.
It's the same thing. He's super inefficient. He's a strict volume play. Like last year, he was awful. If you look at his metrics and stuff, like he's not a good back anymore. If he has the ability to command volume, that's one thing. But he's a guy that's specifically dependent on that volume. So if it gets taken away this year, which it might, like you could be drafting him in the 5th round or 6th round, and you could absolutely hate that pick when he comes to the end of it. So he's like similar to Jones, just another guy. Like I know people have been hyping him up on Twitter because he's Alvin Kamara. He's one of the best backs we've ever seen for fantasy. I'm kind of just like, it's all you guys. Like, I don't trust the volume, and that's my biggest issue with him.
I have him at the end of the good tier, though. I agree with everything you said. I just have him slightly above Jones because I think the upside's higher for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And to be clear, don't draft Alvin Kamara in the 5th or 6th round. Like, absolutely don't do it. However, if he slips a couple of rounds, I'm okay taking the shot on the fact that he's going to have 80, 90 targets this season, and he'll live off of that volume, even in half PPR. I think I agree. He's the end of the good. He's my RB 18. He'll probably hang there 18, 19, 20, I think.
Well, it's just, for me, like I said, the difference between Kamara and Jones, there's Chris Olave and nothing. Like, there's some good receivers and tight ends. Look, there's a good team here in Minnesota. Keep wanting to say Green Bay, but there's a complete lack of any competition for Kamara, and that's why I still like him. Next up, we have Austin Ekeler. Some of these running backs are really tripping me out. I have not adjusted to Austin Ekeler of the Washington Commanders. For me, I have him, I think, right around here. I'm not as convinced that he's completely washed up. Granted, he's not going to have the touchdown luck he had in LA. There's not going to be any 20 touchdown years in Washington. So this one's a tough one for me. I'm going to have a lot of him, I think, this year at his current ADP, which is fucking ridiculously low. Like I was saying, one of the ones I did today, maybe ESPN, he's like outside the top 120. I'll take my shot on free Austin Ekeler. I'll take my shot on all 3 of these guys really outside of the top 100. I don't really want – I mean, I take Kamara the highest, but I don't really want any of these guys inside the top 50 like they used to be. So that's where they're all a bargain. But
Ekeler's got an ADP of 125. Like it's a much different discussion with him. Like it doesn't cost you anything really to draft him. He's RB 38. Like I'm fine with that. But I have him ranked lower than both of these guys just because they have been nonstop hyping up Brian Robinson. Like Dan Quinn is obsessed with Brian Robinson. I don't know what is going on in Washington, but they love Brian Robinson. So I'm curious to see like what the ceiling is with Ekeler. But like at this depleted cost, like I'm fine with it. I put him in average too, just because I don't know like how much volume he's going to get. Like that's my concern. Now Scott Fishbowl, they're talking about giving him return kicks. Like I'm all aboard that. Let's go give him the kick returns. We can work with that. But in regular leagues, I don't know. So good to average is fine. Like I'm either one of those. Look at me.
He's well below Aaron Jones for me, and he's going to stay there. I'm going to move Aaron Jones down. But right now, you said he's RB 38. I have him ranked at RB 37. Like I don't expect much from Ekeler. I think it's the Brian Robinson show, and Ekeler gets 35% of what's happening in that backfield. So, yeah, I'd push him down to average for sure.
Yeah, I'm at RB 32, one spot below Zach Moss, baby.
All right, moving on to what is obviously going to be the highest so far. We have Bijan Robinson. Thoughts, gentlemen? I mean, he's got to be going into the top tier, obviously. Probably number 2 overall. Probably 1 for some people. He's 2 for me.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he's 3 for me. I have Breece at 2. I have Breece above him.
Yeah, like he's in that elite tier. Like he's still below McCaffrey. This is the thing when like we come out and do projections. Like McCaffrey absolutely smashes everybody. That's the one thing. So there needs to be a projecting to have him like on par with McCaffrey. Maybe that happens this year. Same thing with Bijan, with Breece. But yeah, I love him. Like I think he's a top 3, top 4 back, no problem. Like all aboard.
Yeah, and they have a passing game this year, right? So it's just going to open things up underneath, not only for him in the passing game, but also for him. He's not going to see those crazy stack boxes. So Bijan's my RB2. You can convince me to be RB1. He's for sure a top 3.
All right, that brings us to my RB2, Breece Hall. That's Jeremy.
Yeah, Breece Hall is my RB3. I don't really have any issue with him. You could rank him 1. You could rank him 2 or 3. I think he's firmly entrenched there. We know Aaron Rodgers, even though he decided not to show up to minicamp, he's still going to be there. The offense is going to be highly efficient. They have a passing game as well. Breece Hall is an absolute animal. He proved it last year. There's really no changeover except for the fact that the Jets got better on that side of the ball. The nice thing, too, is the Jets have a pretty good defense. You can't really say that about Atlanta. The Jets are a tier or 2 above that Atlanta defense for sure. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Breece Hall all season. He's locked in. I do have him 1 spot below Bijan, though.
You expected the weirdo quarterback who's been in the NFL for 20 years out doing ayahuasca retreats to be at minicamp? Is that what I took out of that? You really expected him to show up? Anyway, so I put Breece at 3. I have him at 2, but I'm going to put him at 3 because I think he's consensus 3, so I'm not going to get too crazy. What are your thoughts, Jesse?
Jesse's muted.
It's the best thing he said all year.
Yes, sir. Now you can hear me. Here we go, baby. First of all, he likes questions.
You can mute it again. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
We're good.
Go ahead. I'll quit being an asshole. Go ahead.
I was gonna say he's the top running back receptions, targets, receiving yards last year. That should not change in that offense. Like I know people are hyping on Malachi Corley and all that fun stuff. Like Breece Hall is a difference-making running back. He deserves to be there at Bijan. Like I go back and forth between him and Bijan. I think Breece's role is a little bit more locked than Bijan already, so we don't have to do as much projecting. But it's Aaron Rodgers. The touchdowns possibly could be there, so you could be looking at a guy who could push Christian McCaffrey, but he's right there, right below him.
If Malachi Corley is making you afraid to draft Breece Hall, you're doing something very, very wrong. I'm just saying that. Like, what are we doing? That's like saying Darnell Mooney is the reason I'm lower on Bijan Robinson this year. For fuck's sakes. Next up, we have the unquestioned. What?
Rondale.
It's those short
the unquestioned number 1. I'm pretty sure here we've got CMC.
Yep. He's special.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. It's just RB1.
Yeah, I mean, he had far fewer targets last season than we're accustomed to from Christian McCaffrey. He still had 67 receptions, about 550 yards, 7 touchdowns, but 14 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, he's just a monster. He's going to get it done. No matter how it looks at the end of the season, he's going to be your RB1. It shouldn't be close.
The scary part is he's so good that even in Superflex redraft, he's the only non-quarterback I consider taking at 101. It's like, do I take a quarterback or CMC? And nobody else is even close, but he's just a positional. He's got to be, okay, maybe him and Kelsey at tight end. Are they the two greatest fantasy players at their position we've ever seen? Like LT back in the day, Jamal Charles?
Yeah, there's some running backs that are up there. Like Matt Forte was RB1 9 times in his career. Like he was really
good.
Was
he really?
Yeah, 9. I looked this up. Matt Forte was RB1 9 times. This shit's nuts. So there's a lot of good.
I feel like it's been a top 5 every year, not just RB1. But.
Like the running back windows are just really short, right? So if McCaffrey gives us another RB1 season on top of it, like that's 4 or 5 RB1 seasons. Like that's just ridiculous. So I think he's gonna make a case for it. Yeah, like the role with McCaffrey is always the best in the league. On top of it, McCaffrey always beats expectations with his role. So he's always more efficient in that role. So that's how he gets these 24, 25 point per game seasons, because his expected points per game are 20. He puts up 24.5. He does that every year. And until the efficiency goes away, like it shouldn't change. So that's why he's above all the other guys for me. He's just
look what you did
to my generational player.
Look what you did to my boy Trey here. He's a Bears fan. He's probably at home covering himself in baby oil now. Thanks for that.
You're welcome, Trey.
Next up, we go from 3 back-to-back studs to not a stud, but a bear we've got here, DeAndre Swift. I put him as the one. This could have, I guess, been Khalil Herbert. It could have been Roshan. I went with Swift. This is not where I wanted to see Swift go in the offseason. Thoughts, gentlemen? I would say this is probably the top. I think he's here for me, maybe. I think he's after Kamara for me. I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, my issue with Swift is the dude has negative vision, and it's always been a problem for him. He doesn't know how to process like up the linebackers and blocks, and it always leads to issues for him. He relies on his athleticism too much. He's super boom bust because of it. And now he's going to a worse situation. Like I know the Bears' offensive line is good. It's not Philadelphia. It's going to affect him. So he might get a ton of volume. He's just going to be super like all over the place this year. He'll have good games. He'll have bad games. But like what's the ceiling for DeAndre Swift? Like, can he be a top 5 running back? I don't ever think that's going to happen. So I have him right in the range with Kamara, Jones, those guys. These guys that I do not trust. And I've seen it enough with Swift. I just don't trust him. Like I need to see better from him. So he's my RB22, I think. And like, I'm fine with him in that range, but I know people love him.
Don't quote me on the exact stat, but I think it was something like in his career, he's never gone more than 2 or 3 consecutive games over 20 touches without getting injured.
Mm-hmm.
No, we are not. Like I said, I've always been a Roshan guy. It could be Herbert. I think Swift is probably the easy answer to start the season, but no, we're not.
Yeah, and here's the thing is he's not the goal line guy, right? Like Swift has never been that. The only thing that benefited him in Philadelphia was the gigantic highway-sized running lanes that offense kind of opened up for him. And he just was like you said, he didn't need vision in Philly. And he's still, for as good of a season as he had, and we liked him, he still only finishes the RB23 in PPR, playing 16 games. So I'm out on Swift. He'll be fine as a pass catcher, but I think you'll be lucky if you get flex value out of him this year. I want Roshan as the goal line guy in that offense. It could be Herbert, but I'll bet my money on Roshan. And otherwise, I don't really want any piece of this Bears backfield.
Yeah, I'd say both.
So
yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Yes. I suppose we have to move him. Average, you said? Above Jones or after?
No, after Jones. Well, after Jones.
Okay.
I put him above Jones. I just think he's like with Jones, my question marks, like he was really good last year, but Jones is going to a new system, like similar to Swift. And we see this where guys regress in new systems. So I just give a bit of a bonus because very still more like it's not my first between two. Flip a coin.
So we have some breaking news on the next one. Just wonderfully timed here. The next one up is Derrick Henry, and Fantasy Pros is reporting that he is going to be in store for a monster workload this year. No fucking kidding. It's Derrick Henry. I know, okay, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I'm still in. I'm putting him here. I don't know where you guys want him. I'm leaving him here for now.
If you want to say he's the last guy in that tier, I'm fine with it. My whole thing was like Henry. We're drafting freaking his teammate above him. What are we drafting Zay Flowers above Derrick Henry for? How is that going to work out? Can you please what are we doing here, folks? We started from the jump. Yeah. They want to treat him like Tennessee. They're in the absolute. He's super efficient running back. He's going to one of the best offensive situations in the NFL. Like this is Derrick Henry we've been hoping for. So I'm low on him. It's entire off. I get it.
Yeah.
There's 2 unicorns. It's Derrick Henry and CMC. You won both.
Drafting Zay Flowers ahead of Derrick Henry is as glitchy as and sketchy as Jesse's internet situation right now.
Okay, thank you. I was just messaging, is that Jesse or me? I wasn't sure. So I'm like, man, his connection's really fucked on my end. So thank you.
There's no way that should be happening. Derrick Henry's my RB7. I have him ahead of Isiah Pacheco. I have him ahead of Kyren Williams. Derrick Henry is going to get there on touchdown upside, but Lamar Jackson and the threat of the run is going to open up holes the way it's always done in Baltimore since Lamar's been around. It's the reason why Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins all had over 5 yards of carry for their career, basically. Now we have Derrick Henry, an absolute monster. He's at the end of it for sure, but 5 yards of carry is reasonable, and when he gets ahead of steam, look out. Henry's in for a monster season.
Are we good leaving him at the back end of elite, or is he great?
For me, he's at the top of great. I only have 4 elite guys, but yeah, he's right there. I mean, he's on the bubble.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I think he's maybe the bridge, though. Next up, we have another one on a new team, Devin Singletary of the New York Giants. Never been a huge Singletary believer. Had a lot of shares of him last year because they were free. I worry that this is a case where it's going to be Mike Davis, but I think he's a little bit better than Mike Davis. He's in a situation where nobody thinks he's that great. Everyone thinks he's probably average. But if you look at this roster, it looks like he's definitely the RB1. So I worry he's probably getting steamed up the board a little too much. And I don't think he's terrible. I just don't think he's great either. So this has Mike Davis 2.0 written all over it for me. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I have him probably – I have him in – average, I think I'm right about here.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I have him far lower. He's my RB30 on the season, and it's half PPR. I know he had a great season last year, but he was just on a great offense with a great quarterback who had a really good sense, and the threat of the passing game was too much for defenses to handle. Devin Singletary was able to take advantage of that. Now, the problem is he goes to the Giants. We don't know who their quarterback is. It's Daniel Jones if healthy. We don't know who their second target on offense is. That offensive line is still not great. That defense is fine, but it's not great. So I just think Singletary is going to get phased out at times. And, he's there. He'll be a volume guy, but I'm not necessarily excited about him. He's pretty much off my board just because I don't want any pieces outside of Malik Neighbors of this Giants offense.
Yeah, it's not great. I don't mind Singletary at cost, but this is what we're talking about with him. He's significantly cheaper than all the other guys he's grouped around in that section. So similar to where Ekeler's going, that's kind of where he's going. So if you want to make the bet on him in an offense that they really need someone to step forward, and I know this has burned us in the past, but we're talking RB38 range, RB39. I don't mind the cost there. So sure, but what's the upside? That's the question mark. Maybe he could be a flex play for you. There, it's I like Tyrone Tracy a little bit later, but you just take both of those guys and hope one of them hits in the offense. That's what you're kind of hoping for. So yeah, but I'm not sold on Devin Singletary. Oh yeah, this is gonna be great. No, I'm just at cost. I don't mind him. I guess I'll phrase it that way.
Alrighty, next up we have Miami's DeVon Achane. We got to move it up or speed up a little. We were hoping to go about 1 minute per player for a half-hour show. We're averaging closer to about 3 minutes per guy. So let's speed this along here, boys. I have him, I think, at the bottom end of the great tier. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think he has a chance to join the elites of the guys in that range where he's going. I think he's a great pick. I'm all aboard Achane. The efficiency and everything in the Miami offense. Just sign me up, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I think Mostert's still going to be involved. I'm not too worried about the age, at least for this season. So I think Achane's a little capped. He's definitely in the solidified in the good, great kind of bubble. But yeah, still love him for this season and happy to take a shot wherever he's going in redraft.
Ezekiel Elliott is someone I have no idea what to expect. I feel like for me, he is Devin Singletary 2.0, and I think I have him right about here. I don't know. I think they're in the same situation where we just assume they're old, they're not all that great, but they're the only one who's going to get the ball. So I don't know what to expect, but I have, what is that, orange tier? Average? I have him at average. You?
I mean, I guess, what I'm doing with Dallas backfield late is I'm just grabbing him and Dowdle and hoping one of them does something for me because I have no idea how his backfield is going. I could not tell you the life of me. Do I think Elliott's going to get volume? Yeah. Outside of that, I know nothing besides that. So it's a good offense. You just want a running back in it. That's all I can say.
Rico season. I don't know. I have a ton of doubt also. That would be nice, but I think Zeke is the much better pass blocker at this stage in his career. So he's going to be out there. He's going to see the volume, and the Dallas offense is going to be good enough to support a running back. So yeah, I'm good with it. We have him at average. Yeah, fine.
Oops, I hit the wrong button. All aboard the Gus bus. What do we think about Gus bus here in LA? I know some of us are big fans here of Kamani Vidal. I think Gus is another one where he's probably fallen in this group of guys that are going to be late round dart throws. I'm going to diversify my portfolio because I'm a degenerate and that's what we do. So I'll probably have some shares when he's cheap enough, but I'm not really looking to target him. I put him in average. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Chargers offense. We know they're going to run a ton, possibly near the league leader. So, like, yeah, I'm fine targeting Gus. Like, I'd much rather target him than I would Ezekiel Elliott or Rico Dowdle. Like, I think Gus's situation is a little bit better. I also like Kamani Vidal. I just like the Chargers offense better with the running back. So, yeah, I'll prefer those guys to them.
Yeah, Gus is the RB1 there until we find out differently. I don't know that it's going to matter. I think there's going to be a massive committee here. Who knows what they're going to do, but we know they want to run the ball. So take your shot on whoever you like in this backfield. But I think they're all going to be average.
Next up, Isiah Pacheco, who is someone I found the evaluations in the ADP are all over. I've seen him as high as top 20. I've seen him outside the top 60. He's all over the place. For me, I think he probably goes at the top of this tier. I want him over here. Fucking come here. I want him. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. I don't know. It projects like he should be the RB1 in that backfield, but they brought in like 12 undrafted free agents. They brought back CEH. McKinnon's gone, but I don't know. I don't love it.
Yeah, like he carved out the receiving role last year, which is kind of what we were waiting to see. So, like, I have him at RB11 this year, and I think that's like that could end up being really low because he had a really good role last year. He was good. He was top 7 in like red zone touches and everything you're looking for. So I think another year of the offense with Mahomes, like there's no, like, I don't trust the competition there. I think he's significantly better than everybody else. So
I have him at 9, but it feels gross.
Yeah, it's hard.
RB8, Derrick Henry, Isiah Pacheco, right there. Let's go. The KC offense is going to be much improved. They're going to move the ball easier. That's less work for Pacheco, kind of outside of the 20s, but I think it's going to be more goal line opportunities for him with the receiving work. And like you said, no McKinnon. I love Pacheco this season. Let's fire it up. RB1 season. Let's go.
Next, we have what I assume is the last of our 4 elite guys. That would be Detroit Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs. I think for me, he goes right here. I suspect nobody's going to argue with that. What do you guys think?
I'm not going to argue Jahmyr Gibbs in the elite tier. I will argue that there's only 4 in the elite tier, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to absolutely dominate. We expect him to take over a larger share of the load. David Montgomery.
There's 5. You're right. There's 5.
Montgomery was good. Montgomery was good in the in the early half of the season. He wore down a little bit, but they also just knew that Jahmyr Gibbs was that much better. They had to get him more touches. Yes. He's going to see more touches this season, and he's going to be a top 5 locked in running back.
Yeah, we see it with it's similar to DeVon Achane. That's why I'm bullish on DeVon Achane. Year 2 running backs, like they take a significant jump in opportunities and volume. That's what I'm expecting for Gibbs. Like Montgomery is what he is, but like Gibbs is such a better player. Similar to Achane, I love both of these guys. So yeah, if you want to make the case for he's elite, like I have no problem. I think he's the dark horse RB1 of all of the guys that we talk about.
I did the with. Go ahead.
No, I don't. I was gonna have it. I have it now. Montgomery ran in 13 touchdowns. I don't expect that to happen again this season. A few of those are going to go to Gibbs, and he's just going to vault.
I did the Detroit Lions preview with Jeremy on FTN Fantasy. And pretty much our takeaway was that the Lions went all defense. And if you had one of the consolidated offensive weapons here, their value went up because they didn't add anyone. It's the same guys. The only difference is they're hoping maybe JMO will be more valuable. But every other, like the 4 or 5 guys they had, got no competition. They're the exact same team coming back with maybe a better defense that will lead them to run the ball more, which I guess would work in his favor. So I'm all in on Gibbs.
He's the new Alvin with Kamara is the way I look at him. Like that's what he's going to be.
Next up, we have
JMO for I was just going to say JMO for fantasy. No, thank you. JMO for reality. Yeah, I think he'll take the jump, but that's only going to open it up more underneath for Gibbs and Laporta and ASRB.
Now we've got James Conner. I've got him in the good tier here. I think he's probably above these guys for me, but behind Pacheco. I don't know what you guys got. Thoughts?
Yeah. Jesus. Conner was like a top 5 like PFF ranked running back last year, and he was still really good. He was efficient. He's older, but the thing is, like, he has not fallen off the age cliff like the other guys that we're talking about in the Kamara and the Ekeler range. Like, I think he's still a better back at this point. So yeah, personally, it's weird because I have Pacheco so much higher above those guys, but like, sure, like I'll have Conner as kind of the cutoff. Then it's like significantly lower. So yeah, I have Conner RB17, and that could be entirely too low. It just comes down to how you feel about Trey Benson.
Yeah. I like Conner, but I have him a little bit further down the ranks as a back end RB2 this season. I just think Trey Benson is going to take a little bit of that work over and force a split toward the end of the season. I don't think the Cardinals are really in contention for playoffs, so they're going to want to see what they have in the rookie. And Conner has the potential of injury falling off, so he's my RB25 at the moment. But yeah, I could be wrong on that. He could very easily be a borderline RB1, mid-range RB2 by the end of the season if he stays healthy.
Next up, we have James Cook. And I can tell you one thing I learned about James Cook last year when Googling him to come up with graphics for the show. I have to type in Buffalo Bills. Otherwise, you get a bunch of Pirates. Just wanted to throw that out there. Google James Cook, not the Pirates, if you want to get the Buffalo Bills running back. But for me, I have him, I believe, right after Pacheco here. I feel like I have him and Pacheco, and I do. I have him and Pacheco in the same tier here as the 3 old guys, but I have them way above them in the rankings. Like, these guys are mid to low end RB2s for me. These guys are borderline, like Pacheco and Cook are borderline RB1, 2 for me. So same tier, but way higher for me.
The nice thing about Cook is when he had that blow up game in like week 14 or 15 where he had about 35 fantasy points, he finally was able, you were able to search James Cook and he showed up finally. And I was like, all right, we've done it, folks. We've done it. We're back. Yeah, I have him one spot above Pacheco, but yeah, he's right in that range with Achane and those guys. Like, I think he's a good bet this year too. He saw a ton of volume last year. That's the thing with him. He'll likely see it again. I know people are hyping up the guy when they got Ray Davis, but like, I don't know. I'm not really into Ray Davis personally. Again, I'm a big James Cook fan, so that's why I am where I am on him.
Yeah, if SC's still in the comments, I think he's a big Ray Davis guy. I don't know if he's still around.
I am into Ray Davis as well. I think he gets some of the goal line work. James Cook only ran in 2 touchdowns last season. That's a big red flag. I know we know that Josh Allen will take a fair amount of that work. Allen had far too many rushing touchdowns from in close. I think they want a goal line back to take some of that off, so that'll be Ray Davis. James Cook, still a phenomenal talent, but it pushes him down a little bit to mid-range. So for me, we have him in good. That's fine with me.
Well, why don't you and Ray Davis get a room so we can move on to Javonte Williams? Javonte Williams, I have him. I think I've got him in this average tier. Probably. I think I have him at the top of the average tier. Where is he for me? 26. So I don't know. I think he's the starter here. I don't know if he's healthy. I think another year back from the injury. I think he's still usable, but I don't know. He scares the shit out of me. I don't know.
Yeah, you said it best. He scares the shit out of me. I want no part of Javonte at cost. Like, I'm so out on him. I personally would much rather have Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, they've been hyping him up nonstop, and Cecil Lammey just said, like, no, he thinks Jaleel McLaughlin is the number 1 back there, and he doesn't know what they're gonna do with Javonte. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, Javonte's in the bad tier for me. I'm not drafting Javonte specifically at cost. I'm just out. Yeah. Like, no, thank you. The Sean Payton offense.
And you mentioned Lammey. He even questioned, will Javonte even make this team? So probably. But I agree with you. He's just going far too high. If he drops to like the 9th round, I'll consider it. I don't see that happening. And even then, I'm skeptical. So I'm 100% with you. SC mentioned Watson. I like McLaughlin as well. If Pirine makes the team over Javonte, it'd be a sad day. But also, I wouldn't be terribly surprised.
Next up, we will be dipping back into the fucked up multiverse where we will discuss Joe Mixon of the Houston Texans, because that was a thing we all saw coming. I think I have him at the top of this tier here in that range of if there's this group here from Connor, Kamara, Ekeler, Jones, Mixon, I think they could all be in this bridge here because if they still have anything left in their career, they're going to be good. They could also all be done. This could be the last year for all 5 of them. So they could fall anywhere between good and average. I just put Mixon there. I don't know what you guys think.
I
have him at 15 overall, so I'm a bit higher than most.
I have him at, I think, 16, 17, right in that range. I'm with you. I just don't see the competition for Mixon like at all. And he's been a volume back who's just big and consistently getting on. He's going to get it again in it could be a better offense this year. So like they love what they got with Mixon. They traded for him in Houston. I think he's fine. He's similar to Connor for me. Would not surprise me if he's like a top 8 running back this year. Like everything is setting up for him to be smashed. It's just he's never been super efficient. So that's always the issue with Mixon, but there's literally no competition for Mixon. Like I don't see anyone challenging him for touches.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to be hyper efficient in Houston. He just needs to be serviceable. We saw that with Singletary last year. Mixon the last 3 seasons finished as the half PPR RB3, 12 and 5. He's making a lateral move in terms of an offense here. So no, he's not great, but he's going to find the end zone. He's averaged about 9 touchdowns a season on the ground. He's going to do that again, and he's probably going to chip in about 40 receptions. So sign me up. He is my currently half PPR RB13.
Next up, we have Jonathan Taylor, and it would appear that and we have one more in the elite. You like what I did there when I said Jeremy was right? I muted it. That's what I was saying. There was one more elite. I just didn't want to have to admit it on air, but I guess I've done it. So that was a convenient accidental hit the mute button, but we agree. Elite, last of the tier here.
Not only is Taylor elite in his own talent, but he is an elite situation in an elite offense with an elite rushing quarterback who's going to help to open up holes. There's nothing stopping Jonathan Taylor other than his own health from being the RB1 overall again this season, like he was a few years ago. So he's an absolute stud. Yeah, he is definitely in the elite tier. He's my RB4.
I was going to say, like, what's the difference between Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry? Like, could someone please explain to me the difference? The situations are the exact same. Both rushing quarterbacks, they do all that. The difference is Lamar Jackson's not getting those goal line opportunities to do all that. So, like, I have Derrick Henry above Jonathan Taylor, and that might be hot takey, but, like, it is what it is. I just think it's the exact same case you're making for both of these guys. They're fantastic running backs, really good offenses. They are the focal point of those offenses. So, like, I'm all aboard both of those guys at cost. I just don't see why there's a massive difference between 2 of them. Like, I don't think there should be.
Okay.
You ever have someone use a word so much that it loses all meaning? Jeremy's used the word great one too many times in that sentence. He has a great team and a great offense and a great this, and I'm going, holy fuck, I guess he's great. And then we put him in the elite tier.
Elite. Let's go. Listen, Aaron, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
You fucking lie to me.
Yeah. I think
don't you lie to me, you son of a bitch.
Like, that's
right.
what
I love this show. It's great.
Next up, we have a guy where I'm not sure if I don't know if anyone realized this, but it looks like Jonathan Brooks is probably the RB1 in Carolina, and there's not much competition. I'm going to put him right here, 3rd in the good tier, just because I think he's really, really good, and I don't think anybody on this Carolina squad can beat him out. Thoughts? Anybody? Nope. I have him at fucking much lower, I think, somewhere. Anyways, while I find him, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like if he didn't have the ACL issue, like I think everyone would be all aboard the Jonathan Brooks train. That's the one thing holding him back because like they revamped the offensive line, they've given them other skill position players, so it's like, but he like I do Chuba Hubbard, not that great running back. Miles Sanders is just not a good running back, so it's Jonathan Brooks' ceiling. Like he could take 20 touches a game this year, it would not shock me. So I'm all aboard it. He's like dark horse RB1 type, not the RB1, but like a top 12 running back for me. Like I love Jonathan Brooks. Everything's setting up for him this year.
That's pretty much what they said, Ryan. That's pretty much what they said. You didn't miss anything. You summarized it. Yeah. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
No, awesome. The only thing I was going to say about Brooks is for points per game, absolutely. The question is Carolina actually going to be smart and slowly ramp him up into the season just to make sure he's 100%? I hope so. They don't really have anyone outside of Chuba there to lighten the load, but I think he's shown that he can do enough early in the season. But yeah, come mid-season, I mean, Brooks should take over. And points per game-wise, I think he'll be a top 12 back. But I'm very conservative with what's going to happen with him in the beginning of the season. He's my RB28 at the moment.
One of the most polarizing running backs in football. We have Josh Jacobs continuing in the multiverse. He's now on the Packers. I think I have him here. I like him a little bit better than a rookie. I don't like him as much as Cook and Pacheco. That's where I've got him. I've got him good. I have him. Actually, I do. I have him at 13, so I'm a little higher on him. But I think this offense is pretty damn good, and I think he's going to be able to do exactly what Aaron Jones did. So I think maybe you'll see a career high in receptions for him. I don't know. What do you guys think?
If he gets a career high in receptions, then we should have Josh Jacobs pushing the elite because that's going to be like a really, really good year. He did a couple years.
Well, yeah, because he was 70 as a rookie, right?
Yeah, he has had a good amount.
My number, yeah.
Stuff. So if he hits that, then you're getting a steal. I have him RB14 just because how bad he was last year. It's really hard to just wipe that away, especially when Jahmyr White was just better in that same role. So. I think he's just good back in a good situation. It's really hard to fade Josh Jacobs too much. So right there, I think it's a fantastic spot. What you're getting with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I like him as a borderline RB1. He's my RB10. I just think he's going to get touchdowns. I love that offense. I love Jordan Love is an absolute monster. That offense is going to cook, and Jacobs should push for career high in rushing touchdowns. I think that's going to happen.
Okay. So question, is he good at third in this tier, or should he go above Pacheco or Cook? It sounds like everyone has him above at the top of the tier.
He's behind Pacheco for me.
My issue is I think Marshawn Lloyd is bigger competition to him than the guys are to Isaiah Pacheco and KC. So that's my one issue with him. He could see some of that volume we're hopeful. So yeah, same tier's fine. Wherever you guys want to put him, I don't mind.
And we have Kenneth Walker. I have him at RB14. So I have him on my board right here, I think. I think I have – it seems these four are interchangeable for me, and I flip-flop them, especially Jacobs and Walker. Right now I have it lined up these four in a row. I think 10, 11, 12, 13, something like that. What do you guys think of Walker?
Walker scares the crap out of me. I am terrified with Walker. I love the Seahawks offense. We go this all the time. They revamped the line. They did some good things, but – the whole issue down the stretch last year is Charbonnet carved out a bigger role than people realize, where Walker was basically non-existent for your team down the stretch. Now it's a different offense and all of that stuff. If he can get the third down role, I like him, but Charbonnet is just their third down back. So for Walker to be viable, he needs touchdowns because he's not getting receptions. It's just I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm the guy talking behind the words, but yeah, Walker worries me. I have him at RB15, but I think him and Jacobs scare me because there is risk with them at those costs. That's my whole issue with both of those guys. I just think I'm more sure Jacobs gets the role in that better offense than I am with Walker. So that's why I'm kind of Walker's just super boom bust RB2 for me.
Yeah, I have him as RB12. We'll see if that lasts throughout the offseason. But, I'm fine with him in the good. I think he'd be maybe one or two spots down. But I'm looking at the great tier. We only have two guys in there. Can we please move Isaiah Pacheco up to the great tier? What are we doing here? Come on. KC offense. The guy's an absolute stud. Let's get someone else in the great tier. As you can tell, I'm done talking about Kenneth Walker.
Awesome. So that brings us to possibly the riskiest asset in fantasy football this year. Kyren Williams going off the board currently as RB6. There is a lot of room for failure here and not a lot of room to overachieve. I have him, I believe, right – I might have one above Henry. No, I think right after Henry. But
I was don't put above Henry.
But so that's what worries me. Whether you have Henry above him or you have Kyren above Henry, Henry's significantly cheaper, and that's what scares me. I feel like Kyren is the ultimate don't draft a day 3 running back, after their first year of success. And he's absolutely being drafted at his ceiling. I get it. He finished as RB3 or something. So there's not much more to go up. I feel like this is the riskiest pick of any running back in the draft. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Blake Corum's a freaking doppelganger to him. And so I'm not super worried. I think Kyren Williams showed us how good he is. And they literally had no one behind him. That's why he's so volume. So his volume could still go down and he could still be a top 12 back. So I'm not super, not super worried about him. I think he's fine in that range of picks of wherever you want to go. But yeah, he's a little bit riskier. But I think he's a super high floor bet.
Dude. You said Blake Corum is his doppelganger, and I'm out. I quit. I'm out. Out on Kyren Williams. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm out.
The The thing is, we can't be out on Kyren Williams because we saw him do it last year, and he's still in that same offense. It's Sean McVay, it's Matt Stafford, it's Puka and Cooper Kupp. I mean, we know they're going to move the football. We know there's going to be touchdown opportunity. I'm out on Kyren Williams at cost. He's still my RB9. He's still going to approach those 12 touchdowns. I don't think Corum is stealing a ton from him in year one.
What do we think here, Kyren or Walker and Keon Coleman?
Kyren.
Really?
I'm like, the thing is, I'm out on Walker, so like that's the whole issue with Walker. So, but that's a fine bet. Like, I think that's
I like the Walker side.
Yeah, like
it's a Walker.
Keon Coleman. That's 3 risky ass guys combined. Like Keon Coleman, super risky. Like, so if you like the 2 other guys, I'm fine with that. But personally, I just like Kyren better.
Next is a guy that I think everyone on this website has been lobbying for a little while. Najee Harris. What are your thoughts here? I've got Najee, I believe, somewhere in this range, maybe after James Cook. Where do I have him? Actually, I have Najee lower. I have Najee as a low end RB2, but I think I want him below the group of Pacheco, Jacobs, Walker, and Cook, but I want him significantly more than the group of Brooks, Connor, Kamara, blah, 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 old guys. Thoughts?
With Najee, it's more he's a floor play. Like, I don't see the ceiling with Najee. That's the biggest thing. And I know SE loves Najee. And I think he's a fine bet. I have him RB20. You know what you're getting there. I just don't know where that ceiling's coming from, because how big of opportunity share is he getting? Because they know they love Jalen Warren. He's going to catch passes on that offense. So, like, I think Najee's the ultimate floor play. So I'm not going to take him above Brooks or Connor, because those guys can give you the ceiling that I don't think Najee can. But, like, in that range of picks, like, he's fine. I have him RB20. Like, I'm lock him in there. That's good with me.
Yeah, and I think this offseason he's already going off significantly later than that. I think he's 26, 27, 28 or something. So, like you said, he's the floor play. He's a safe RB2 if you want to load up on wide receivers, a tight end, and, go hero RB or something. Najee in like the 7th round or wherever you're going to be able to get him, 6th round maybe, is going to be a nice floor play for you. And he's going to do what he's always done, which is about 1,000 yards, about 8 touchdowns. And, the other thing is we know that Arthur Smith is here. This was SC's point. I love it. So I'm going to quote it, is Arthur Smith is going to grind him into the core of the earth this season. It's a contract year, right? So just ride Najee as much as possible. Absolutely. I'm all aboard that take. But yeah, even with all of that said, he's just a guy.
This one next up, I don't really understand. Pretty much on all 5 of the sites I looked at, Nick Chubb in redraft is a top 80 player. I do not want me 29-year-old running back coming off a serious injury. I don't want to put him in the bad, but I definitely have him. I'll tell you what, I'm taking Jerome Ford over him this year. I don't understand. I don't mind if you want to take Chubb, or another one was J.K. Dobbins. Both going, inside the top 100, coming off of terrible injuries. Dobbins, his 2nd terrible injury. I don't want either of them anywhere inside the top 100. Nick Chubb, I think, stays out of the bad tier just out of respect for Nick Chubb, but I don't want anything to do with Nick Chubb in redraft.
So I'm throwing him in bad. I'm not touching him. Like, I'm terrified of Nick Chubb at cost, man. Like, I get it. He's been one of the best running backs like we've seen this generation. He just doesn't catch passes as well. I think he's a fantastic running back, but that's the same knee that he jacked up in college, and it was a severe injury. And then it was an even more severe injury into that same knee. So, like, I don't want to bet on Nick Chubb this year. If you want to bet on him,
7 pick.
Yeah, it's like, no, thank you. People are saying, like, it's RB30. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, dude, there's still decent players going at that cost I would much rather have. So, if you want to take them, feel free. Just know he's risky-ass bet. Like, what's the upside for Nick Chubb? Like, is he going to come back and play? Like, we don't know when he's coming back. They haven't said a thing about him.
Yeah. And unless Nick Chubb proves to be Adrian Peterson coming back from injury, which, to be fair, if anyone proves to be Adrian Peterson, it could be Nick Chubb. I don't think that's going to happen. Super unlikely. I don't even love Ford at cost just because we don't know. This could be Deontay Foreman, right? We just don't know who's going to get the touches in the backfield. The thing is, whoever does is going to be valuable for fantasy, but I'm not making that bet at cost, like you said, on Chubb. I'd put him in average again. Aaron, I think, said it out of respect for Nick Chubb. But yeah, if he's in bad, he's in bad. I'm not touching him either.
Right there, Ryan said it. Like, give me Foreman and Ford at cost. I don't want to touch Chubb at cost. Like, I think he should be in that range as opposed to where he's at as well.
Next up, I think we have the last top 12. We have back-to-back here. We've got Rachaad White. I think I have him in my group somewhere right around. Do I have him above Jacobs? I do. I have him at the top of this. I have one above Jacob, so he is the top of – where the hell did he go? He's the top of this tier for me. Where is he for you guys?
My question is Bucky Irving really going to steal the volume from Rachaad White?
No.
Like, what he specializes in, Rachaad White's just better at. Like, Rachaad White's a better passing back. He's inefficient on the ground game. I get it. But, like, I just don't see – like, I loved Bucky Irving coming out. But, dude, when it's just not going to work out for him. So, I think he's the best bet to make, like, because he's going really late. And you can get a locked in or like RB1 super late because people are talking to themselves. It's like, dude, the situation, everything's there again. Just run it back with Rachaad White. Like we did this last year. We faded him. We're fading him again. And I'm just like, stop fading Rachaad White, man. Like he's a good receiving back.
No one's talking about Sean Tucker, but they don't need to be talking about Sean Tucker. I mean, we still got Rachaad White. He's going to be right there on the borderline. He's my RB14 only because I think they give somebody else a little bit of work in this backfield. They've been talking about want to limit his touches. It's the smart play. He's, like you said, he's not great in between the tackles, but the volume will still be there for Rachaad White. So I'm happy with him enough at cost. I think he's right there hovering around the RB1 borderline for sure.
Yeah, it reminds me of Joe Mixon. Like we faded Joe Mixon a bunch over the years, and he continued to produce. That's what Rachaad White's going to do. It's just more receiving volume.
Next up, we have the guy I am out on, Ramondre Stevenson. I have him, I think, at the top of this group. But aside from the guys where we don't know if they're the starter or not, I'm out on him. I have him in the low 20s, I think. I don't want anything to do with him. I think Gibson is enough to take away some of the pass catching role. Go ahead, Jeremy. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I hate this narrative on Ramondre Stevenson. Antonio Gibson is a complete bum. He's not the RB1. He's not.
It's Ramondre.
Now, listen. Can Antonio Gibson be the number one receiving back in New England? Fine. I don't care about that role, but he could be. Does that limit Ramondre Stevenson? Sure. He's only my RB26 on the season. I'm not dying to get Ramondre, but if you think that Antonio Gibson is the RB1, you're sadly mistaken. Ramondre is an absolute beast. The problem is his situation. It's not the player.
You want to know what's hilarious? You just argued why Ramondre is better than I have him. I'm 4 spots higher on Ramondre than you are. That's the irony of it all. So
that was my argument. He's the one. That's it. You can put him in average, but he's the one there.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking over Kamara and Ekeler. That's for sure. Like I get it where we hate the New England Patriots offense, but like this is what I'm saying. Like it's better than people realize it is. Like people are just clowning the Patriots offense because they think last year. I'm like, dude. They revamped that team. Like it looks better. They actually have a quality quarterback in Drake May. I think he's going to start sooner. It should work out. Man, Gibson's the most frustrating back because he's not fundamentally sound. He drives for coaches crazy. This is why Gibson will never be a thing. And Ramondre is much better.
Wide receiver.
Ramondre. Yeah, he's just like he's not sound as running back doing stuff. Like he can't pass block. He has issues reading zones and holds. Ramondre is much more fundamentally sound. He's going to do stuff that's not going to drive you crazy. And with a new coach that likes that style of play, like I think Ramondre is totally fine at cost. Like. We're sleeping on him. Like, yeah, give me him over Kamara for sure. I don't want Kamara cost. I would much rather take Ramondre.
Next, finally someone good to talk about, allegedly. Saquon Barkley. I've got Barkley at 7. So I think for me, Barkley goes right. I don't know. This is the one I struggle with. I'm not putting him above Henry. I think I put him after these two. I don't know. It's a tough one for me. This tier is pretty evenly matched. Where do you guys have Barkley?
Yeah, I actually have Barkley above Taylor in my rankings, so hot take, I guess, whatever. But I think he's really good, and it's the same bet we're talking about with these guys with these rushing quarterbacks. It's the same situation. I think the Eagles' offense is stacked, so that's the whole issue on top of it too. Like, what's the like the ceiling for Saquon? I think he's extremely high. Like, I have him at RB6, but just to fire him up, man. It's the Eagles' offense. Like, I want all the Saquon. He's not going to be asked to do everything, and it should benefit with efficiency this year.
All right, Jeremy, what do you think? All right, best thing you've said all show. Next up, Travis Etienne is next up on the agenda.
I'm back. Saquon for half PPR is my RB6. He's a stud, but Antonio Gibson in 16 games had 48 receptions. Ramondre Stevenson in 12 games had 38 receptions. Suck it. Ramondre Stevenson is just as good as Antonio Gibson in the passing game. So I don't want to hear any more of this BS. But yeah, Saquon Barkley, RB6.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Travis Etienne. I think out of the
I don't want Travis Etienne. I don't want him. Get him out of here. I'll just go for it. He drives me crazy. They don't have a freaking running back behind him. That's the whole issue, Travis Etienne. Otherwise, he's super inefficient. The offensive line sucks. It's the same problem again this year. So he's gonna I'm not taking him over Pacheco. I'm not taking him over White. Probably not gonna take him over Jacobs. I'm not taking him over he scares me. He's a strict volume play again until they fix that offensive line because he's such a boom bust rusher, similar to Ken Walker. The difference is Seattle has a better situation. So ETN above Pacheco, hell to the no. No, thank you. Y'all can enjoy him at that cost.
No way. He's still my RB11, but I agree. Pacheco's above him. It's just volume, right? This is Rashad White 2.0. We want him to be better than White is. He's a plus in the receiving game, but that's about it. And they added Brian Thomas Jr. They should be stretching the field. There's just so many weapons there. Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, we know. Gabe Davis, who knows how they're going to use him. But I just think a lot of that detracts from ETN. The thing is, they didn't add one person to this backfield in the offseason. Ernest Johnson is still there. Tank Bigsby is supposed to take on a larger role. Forget it. It's ETN to the moon, which means back end RB1.
Yeah.
Wow. We really went over show limit by quite a bit. Maybe if someone hadn't gone on a 20-minute tear about Ramondre Stevenson. Let's continue on with our third last player here. Everyone's darling of the offseason, Tyjae Spears. Thoughts, anyone? Or do we want to go back to Ramondre talk again?
Why is Pollard going above Spears is my question. I still don't understand this.
People are fucking stupid.
People are chasing that damn money like they did DeAndre Swift and all these other guys and Miles Sanders. Stop chasing the fucking money. Spears is a better player. He was efficient. He had a 14% target share as a rookie. What are we doing here, folks? He was awesome. So yeah, I much prefer Spears at cost. I'm taking him over Ekeler, Kamara. I have him a little bit above those guys, but that's the fine range for him. I just don't know what the ceiling is.
Above Ramondre.
I'm terrified. I don't know, man. It's Ramondre Spears. Flip a coin. Call it a day.
You can. Yeah, but for me, it's him and Pollard are exactly the same. The problem is the offense. It sucks. Will Levis, I don't think any of us here are sold. I think we agree there's a possibility, but it's unlikely. If that's the case, the offense is just going to be sluggish, and it's going to be 50% Pollard, 50% Tyjae. You can flip a coin on those two guys. I don't care who you pick over the other guy because I don't really like either one of them. But if I had to choose, it'd be Tyjae. He's average for me.
Zach Moss, where are we going?
Jeremy, take it away.
Zach Moss is the goal line back. Zach Moss is the pass protection back. Zach Moss will be on the field way more than you think. They brought him over for a reason. If he's healthy, he's going to be an absolute stud. Easy mid-range RB2. I'm too low on him in my rankings currently as the RB21. That was some hedging earlier in the offseason. I don't think Chase Brown is doing what we think Chase Brown is going to do. He's fine. But Zach Moss is getting everything here. Brown will spell him. Zach Moss is a good running back, and I would put him probably just above, maybe just below Kamara.
All right. I'm good with that. Anything to say here, Jesse, or do you want to wrap it up with the last guy?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up with the last guy. Zach, it's
Let's
fine.
go.
Zach Moss. Yeah.
Jahmyr White, Raiders. Run. Somebody.
If you're looking for the trap bet this year, it's Jahmyr White, folks. We're taking small sample size efficiency, and we're taking it to the moon as if he's going to get 20 touches a game. Dude, Jahmyr White sucks at pass catching, and we've been talking about this all game. I bet you Dylan Lobby takes that role from him. How is he going to keep up his efficiency last year? That's just a small sample size trap. Who people say he's got the size and to be a 3-down back. I'm he was never a 3-down back in Georgia. That's not what he did. James Cook was doing that. So, I think we need to pump the brakes on Jahmyr White. At his cost is too damn high. I'm gonna say it. Stop acting like Jahmyr White is going to be the RB1. It's not. No. My bet is he falls outside the top 30 at the end of the season. I just don't want Jahmyr White.
Yeah. I agree. I would probably take him here or there if he falls, but yeah, I'm not a big fan. I think he's probably in the average tier. I just also don't love that offense. But it's also important to note that Antonio Gibson in the last 2 seasons has only scored 8 total touchdowns. Ramondre has had 10 in far fewer games. So give me Ramondre over Gibson.
Yeah.
Good God, that was painful. Good
you gotta let the man love his.
We really stuck to that half-hour time limit. Hey, boys, 59 minutes later.
Have we ever made a time limit? I don't think we ever have, or we ever will.
Nice. All right, just check back tomorrow. We're gonna do wide receiver tier list tomorrow. So Jeremy can spend another 25 minutes talking about Ramondre Stevenson and the Patriots offense. Thank you all for tuning in. Check back tomorrow. Take care.